Hello, everyone who has jumped on so far. We're going to give a few more minutes just to let everybody join in. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
I can hear you.
I'm going to assume everyone can hear me. Yes, I got some thumbs up. Thank you. Well, hello, everybody, and happy Sunday. It was an exciting night yesterday. I don't know if anyone, I'm hoping everyone watched, was able to watch the finals last night. Was a pretty exciting match. I think a pretty exciting Final Four altogether. And
That Tina.
very, very fortunate enough to see everything kind of live in person. So for everyone,
no.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mute everybody if that's okay. If you guys have any questions along the way, please feel free to post that in the chat. I have also posted just an itinerary for the meeting. And let me make sure I've also posted an itinerary for the meeting so you guys can follow along with that. Let me trying to get back to my chat area real quick. There we go. All right. So I don't know any of you guys just yet, but my name is Jessica Enderly. I will be your guys' recruiting coordinator for this year. I work with MRA, my recruiting assistant, and I have been with the company for about just a little over a year now. Lauren Hansen brought me on, and I was fortunate enough to stay on in the transition as Lauren went off into her new job, which allowed her to spend more time with her family. We're excited to see all that she does with LOVB. Seems like some pretty exciting things that are going to be happening in the volleyball community. Just a little bit about my background. For me, it started back in Southern California. My dad ran the largest club in SoCal for about 15 years. And so just kind of grew up as a club volleyball nerd. Spent some time as a club director myself. I do coach in college now at a small NAIA program here in Nashville. And I've been fortunate enough to be in the college recruiting scene, probably I would say for about 15 years or so, just at various levels. And the reason that I like doing this recruiting side, I feel I'm blessed to be able to do this on both sides as a college coach and also as a recruiting coordinator, helping athletes, decide their futures, just being able to see all sides of this. Seeing what college athletes kind of go through on a daily basis. And then also, just helping our younger high school athletes who are, really just kind of embarking on this journey for the first time and, really just looking to spread their wings. I think it's, pretty cool just to kind of see what all the colleges are offering these days and, just to see the individual needs of each athlete. It's all kind of a pretty neat puzzle at the end of the day. So I'm very blessed, to be able to do this job, and I'm very excited to work with you all this year. So I will go ahead on the itinerary. It does have my contact information, and I'm going to ask everyone to go ahead and just, if you wouldn't mind, just sending me a quick text message with your name, your contact information. I want to see name, grad year, the club team that you're on, and this will just help me just kind of save, save your numbers. Looking for my mouse, I'm sorry. Following along with my itinerary as well. So the team at MRA, there are 5 of us who are recruiting coordinators. I will specifically be working with you guys, but what's nice about having a team kind of in the background, we are all having conversations with college coaches daily. It just keeps us in the know as to what is going on in the recruiting world. So if, there are certain athletes that are maybe being looked at different programs, we kind of have a little bit of an inside, and that helps us navigate with the athletes that we're working, and maybe help steer them if they're maybe not as high up on a list of a school, or, encourage them in a right direction if they are. So we work together as a team. It's nice because as we, communicate with coaches daily, we are also finding out, different needs of all these, colleges across the country. So it just helps us expand our reach. And if you guys all follow us on social media, and I do have that at the end of this Zoom call, you'll be able to see all the recruiting coordinators, and that's me, Peter, Alana, Carly, and I know you guys are familiar with Michaela. Next down on the itinerary, I've got my contact information. I am probably the best and easiest to reach via text message. I do spend a lot of time on a volleyball court or in a gym, but that is usually my quickest way to get back to me. I would say probably next is like a phone call or an email. But I'm usually very, very quick via text message. So, if there's anything that you guys need, please feel free to, call me, text me. I try to make myself as available, for our athletes, and parents. That goes for you guys too. We do ask that this is an athlete driven process, and we'll get, more on that a little bit as we go through. But, parents, there's things that you guys need to be able to navigate to. So I want you to know that I'm a resource for you guys as well. The first thing that I kind of wanted to go over, especially as we're kind of hitting the holiday time and, getting the itinerary that I mentioned, it's in the chat. I can resend that if we need. So if you guys go in the chat, you should be able to see it. If not, I can repost it right now. So let me go through and I will repost this. Okay. Let's see, Michelle, I just sent it to you. Let me go ahead and I'll just post this to everybody in the meeting.
Parker, get off that.
Okay. All right. Let me know. I just resent it in the chat. Let me see. Desiree and Shelby. It doesn't look like you're seeing it. Okay, Shelby, I'm going to send it directly to you. Okay. Well, let me see if I can just pull it up on my computer then. All right, I am sorry that I am having technical difficulties on this. I will go ahead. What I will do is I will email this to everybody following. And so I'm sorry I won't be able to kind of go along with it. I am going to go ahead and put my contact information in the chat. This will also be available on the itinerary that I will email to everybody following the meeting. And I apologize that I'm not able to get that out to everyone. Okay, so email and my cell number are posted in the chat. Again, I apologize for not being able to get that itinerary to everybody. It's showing that it's sent on my end, but I'm not sure why it's not showing up on yours. So I do apologize for that. So the first thing that I wanted to go over is just how to get started in this process. And as we're, entering the holiday time, I think this is a great time to just kind of sit down as a family. You guys all want to really make sure that you're on the same page starting this journey. So if you can, order a pizza one night, sit down and just start having a family discussion on, what college looks like. Parents, I think it's important for you guys to speak your mind, on maybe any concerns that you have. I've had athletes sometimes that, have wanted to go across the country, maybe go to school in like downtown New York. And, sometimes that has made like the parents a little bit nervous. So I think it's good to have some of those conversations. And, even on the flip side of that, I've had athletes that have maybe wanted to stay a little bit close to home. And sometimes the parents are like, I think we need you to, maybe spread your wings, branch out a little bit. So I think your kid, and I think that it's good for you guys to have that open dialogue with your family. I do think that it is also important for you guys to listen to your daughter's just concerns and dreams, and just kind of sit back and listen to kind of what they're looking for. I think the more that you guys are able to really be on the same page starting this journey, it makes it a lot easier as we kind of go through the process. Some things that you guys can sit and discuss, major and depending on, what grade you are, if you're a freshman or sophomore, you might be like, well, I'm not exactly sure what, I'm looking to major yet, but, moms and dads, that's when you guys can come in and just, kind of go over maybe some of their interests and, maybe some different career fields. We can also help with that as well. Distance from home, I think, is the big one, what you guys are all comfortable with as a family. How far is too far, or, sometimes distance can be defined on maybe, how close an airport is, to a certain school. So just making sure that you guys have that defined. Finances is another big thing. We want to make sure, everybody wants to go to college for free, and we love to, really work to make sure that, everything is as affordable and in budget. But, what does that look like for your specific family? Do you guys have, funds saved up that can close the gap if needed? Are we investing all our finances in club right now? So it's really important, finances take a higher priority. So starting to have that, conversation with your daughter, just so they're, aware, when different opportunities, potential level, and I think experience and what kind of role. I read this article today on Lexi's son at Nebraska, and those of you who are familiar with Lexi's son, she was basically a 3-year starter for Nebraska, and decided to come back. I think it was her 5th year this year, and really wasn't a starter, was more of a role player. And so I think that's good, to start having those conversations with your daughter too about, what kind of experience do you want in college? Do you want to go off and do you want to be, more of the star of the team? Are you okay sitting the bench maybe for a couple years and really earning your time? Everyone's different. I think again, this is an area where your kid, if maybe they've been through a season where they haven't got as much playing time and it's been really challenging on them, maybe they do need to, drop a level or drop a division, and look more towards a school where, they can go in and be an impact player early on. I've worked with some athletes in the past that just, were really focused on, playing at the highest level that they possibly could. And, they were okay sitting the bench and, really earning their time. So, sitting down and just really defining what that looks like. I think those are some good conversations, to start having, as once you kind of get those things, ironed out, and we'll move you guys on to the next step, which is building your target list. And your target list, I like to say it's kind of like Play-Doh. It's moldable. It's what it starts off as is going to probably be very different by the end of your recruiting journey. And a lot of this is just going to be kind of figuring it out. Really when you're starting your recruiting process, you're going to go in there and you're going to have certain things, kind of maybe things that you think that you want, or maybe an idea. But then as you go through the process, you start having conversations with coaches, start visiting different programs. A lot of things can change, so it's really good, especially right now, to have an open mind during the recruiting process. We are still seeing a lot of these impacts coming from COVID, and we're still going to see them, kind of down the pipeline. So I think it's just a good practice to be open and see, what is out there. So when you're building your target list, what are things that you should be considering? Some of the things that we just kind of mentioned previous, major, I think is the biggest one, distance from home, financial situation, level. And then I think there's some smaller things that you want to take a look at, like what type of school setting, if we want to be more in like an urban, rural, or suburban setting, school size, small, medium, or large. I think those are, some different, things to consider. Maybe you're a higher academic student, and so maybe you want to look more towards a school that's more academically focused. Maybe there's a specific program that you're looking for. So start ironing these things out, start writing these things down. There's a website that I will give you guys, and this will come out in the itinerary and also the email, collegeboard.org. It's actually been around since I was a player many years ago. And I think it's a great resource. It's academic based. It has nothing to do with volleyball, but they have a great college search on there that you can just type in some of these specific parameters that you're looking for, and it'll just bring up a list of schools. And you can actually do a search based on volleyball and, volleyball division and level and breakdown. So it is one of my favorite websites. I think it keeps it academic based, that's really what we want the focus to be. We all love volleyball here, but like I tell my kids, most of you are probably not going to go into this profession or a volleyball profession as a future career, and volleyball is not going to be paying your bills. So we want to make sure that we are keeping it academic, the academic focus first. Volleyball is going to be a wonderful part of your college experience. But we want to make sure that at the end of this, you are getting a degree and you're set up for your future. When you're building your target list, we'll have different levels. And this is one that I think you guys want to kind of maybe start off and have some conversations with your coaches, or, we can have a conversation as well, but, you want to have different levels. And I think the younger you are, so our freshmen and our sophomores, dream big, have those schools on there. For me, it was UCLA. I was going to UCLA up until the point in time that I did not grow past 5'8", and UCLA just said no thanks. But while you're young, dream big, and have some of those big wish list schools on there. I think you also want to have more realistic options too, on your list of schools that maybe are more towards your level, and then also a handful of schools that are just backup safety schools. For me, this was a Division III school back at home. I knew that if any offer fell through, or I got injured, or something happened with my family, I could always go and play at that school no matter what. And I think we are still kind of in this pandemic. I've had some athletes that have had injuries maybe super late in their career. It's just good to have a safety school on there just in case something happens. Remember, our priority on this is education first, and we want to make sure that you're able to get a degree. So having a backup option that allows you to play, allows you to get an education, should be represented on your target list as well. The next thing that we want you guys to do before you start off the season is do a check-in with your university athlete profile. If you're not familiar with UA, whenever you're at a volleyball tournament, you see these college coaches that are sitting there on their cell phones. That is basically what they're looking at. So university athlete, everybody has a profile, whether or not they use it. So the university athletes, it connects to all the rosters of all the different events, and coaches purchase the events, and it has your contact information on there. And so you just want to make sure that, one, the contact information in there is correct, especially if you have maybe transitioned and this is a new club for you. You want to make sure that your contact information is correct, just in case, anything goes to your previous club and they're not nice enough to send it over. So The link will be in there. It is free. There is a paid version. You do not need it. The goal of this is just to make sure that when a college coach comes to your court, if they tag your kid and they make comments, or they send a questionnaire, or they want to get in contact with you, your contact information is in there. There's a bit about NCSA, and you don't need that as well. But priority number one, you want to make sure. And then also after you commit, so just keep this in the back of your mind, please make sure you go back in there and update your profiles to say that they're committed. I can tell you, just being a college coach on my end, it's a little frustrating when you're at a tournament, you see a kid that you like, and then you find out later that they're committed. So, you know, just keep that in the back of your mind as we go along too. And then the third priority that we want to focus on, before we start all this communication stuff, is highlight film. And I would say there's two types of film that you want to have available. I would say the days of like the old school kind of getting into the gym, like skills and drills, isn't typically used. However, I did have a coach ask one of my athletes last week to do just like, he just had us record like 60 serve receive passes and 15 serves. So you may have coaches come back and ask, but typically your highlight film is going to be, you know, the best of your matches. I would say if you can pick 1 or 2 matches, so we don't want to have highlights from, you know, 13 different matches. You know, if you can pick 1 or 2, because that'll help show consistency. And you always want to make sure that you're leading with your best clips. Most college coaches, unfortunately, have the attention span of a gnat. So when they're clicking on your highlight video, you're going to get like maybe, you know, if you're lucky, 30 seconds of their time. So you want to make sure that your best is in there to really hook them in, you know, so they're going to continue and you know, watch the entire highlight film. Highlights do not have to be super long. The goal of a highlight video is not to get a scholarship. The goal of a highlight video is just to pique a coach's interest. So hopefully they'll come watch you play live. You know, if it's a school that's maybe a little bit further out, and maybe they can't get to a tournament that you guys will be at, they might ask you to send some unedited game film, just so they can see a match. And typically what coaches are looking for there is, you know, they want to see, you know, how an athlete does, you know, after a mistake, how they react. You know, they want to see their court demeanor. They want to see how they interact with, you know, coaches, with their teammates, you know, so don't be afraid to, you know, keep that stuff in there. That's, you know, what coaches are trying to look at. So it's good to have both of those available when you're sending, and we'll get to the contact, the communication part in a second, but when you're sending this stuff out, you just want to really send your highlight video out, but just have the unedited game film available if a coach requested. So do I have any questions so far? Trying to zoom through this. Not trying to take up too much of your time on a Sunday evening. Okay, so we'll get on to the next one, is communication basics. Okay, so once we have our target list, once we have our university athlete profile all set up, and once we have our highlight film ready, and I want to make a point, we do not want to communicate with coaches until you have highlight film. You know, if a coach gets your email and there's no film in there, that's going to be one of the first things that they ask for. So you may lose their attention if you don't have that ready available. So we want to make sure that we, you know, that we do have highlight film that is ready, that is available when you start communicating. The first thing that you want to do is stay organized. You know, as you go through this process and you start learning about different programs and you start having conversations, and you know, schools start sending you information, you want to have, I like a spreadsheet. You know, everybody's a little bit different. I've had kids that have put all this stuff in a folder. You know, we will send you guys a target list to use. If it doesn't work for you and you have your own system, that's fine. But you just want to make sure that you stay organized, because the more conversations that you have, it is easy to lose track of information. and just kind of forget some of the key highlights. And especially when you get off a call with a coach, or maybe you haven't emailed a school in a while, and something that just keeps track of when you're communicating, how the communication went, what information went out. And then also, just to keep an eye on coaches that are shuffling programs. Right now is a big time where a lot of coaches are, doing the job shuffle. So it's important to just make sure that your spreadsheet is updated with all the, the current information for all the coaches. And when you start emailing, the things that you'll want to include in your email, you'll want to make it specific. I think it's okay to kind of have like, I don't want to say a template, because I don't want it to be, the same thing that you're emailing, that everybody's emailing out. But if you just have kind of like an outline that you want to send coaches, and then plug in different information for each school, I do think that's okay. Just make sure when you are sending the information that you have the correct, school, the correct coach. I can't tell you how many times I have received emails from, an athlete, and they're like, hey, I'm interested in, your school, and it's not my school listed, or it's not even my coach name, listed on there. And so that one usually kind of goes in the trash. So you want to make sure that the information on there actually pertains to the school. Follow their social media, get on the school's website, try to find some specific details to put in it, so that coaches just aren't reading an email saying like, oh, this is just a feeler email to see if they're interested, or, just to kind of gauge interest. Like the more that you can make it personable, the more that you can show that you've actually done some research on this program, the better likelihood that you're going to get a response from the school. Include why you're interested in that program. Give them some information on, and maybe that's an academic program, maybe that's a coaching style. Maybe, you've had a friend that has gone to that program and they've really enjoyed it. Whatever that is, include some, again, personal details. Coaches really like that. With all that, try to keep it short and sweet. A couple paragraphs at best. I would say most of the time, I know for me personally, when I get emails from recruits, I usually am sitting there reading them on my phone. So if it's a novel, I'm going to probably get checked out, and I don't know that I'm going to get back to it. But if it's short, sweet, and I see this kid or see this athlete's name come across frequently, then I know, hey, there's some actual interest on there. You also want to make sure that you're including your academic, your athletic, why you're emailing the program. Make sure that your highlight video is in there. And parents, just so you know, communication, it always needs to come from the athlete. And yes, coaches can tell when a parent has written the email, and it's okay to help your daughter. If you want to proof, I'm more than happy to proofread any email communication that you send out as well. But, make sure that you're not getting on there, and typing emails for them. And kind of like my last little tidbit, for anyone, if we have any private school kiddos in here, if you have a school email, I don't recommend using those. Sometimes the filter of the school can block some of the emails that coaches might try to send you. So a Gmail, a Yahoo, that's usually the best. And then keep an eye, once you start communicating and once you start emailing coaches, keep an eye on your junk folder and your spam folder. A lot of times emails get lost in there. And then as you're setting up those Gmails, make sure it has your name, and not, sometimes with the name that comes across when you're sending an email, not like the actual email address. Make sure it's the player name and not a parent name or, some silly name. We want it to come across as professional, and we want to make sure that the coaches aren't assuming that it's coming from the parent as well. So the next thing, what does MRA provide? For those of you who have been with MRA in the past, I know you guys were probably familiar with the Google Drive where we had all our documents and everything. It had all our templates, just kind of the breakdown. This year we've moved to a system called Quoch. And I know everybody should have received a an email setting up their coach account. If you haven't got that, check your spam. If you've checked your spam and you still haven't got it, I will email you guys instructions on how to get that set up. This will be where all our information is contained for MRA. So it will have the email templates, it'll have the coach's contact information, it'll have the college needs list, and it'll go through. We have a bunch of videos in there too of just kind of breaking down every step of the process. So if you're getting off of this Zoom call today and your head's spinning a little bit, jump in coach, and you can walk through each process. You can always go back and do a refresher course, in there as well. So we've spent a lot of time developing it. I will tell you, it's not foolproof, and we're still in the works developing. So if you guys ever have any feedback along the way that we can make it better, we definitely welcome that. We want to make sure that this stuff is user friendly, and it makes sense for you guys as well. That parents and athletes, you guys are both welcome to browse around in there. So I've already kind of touched on this, but the resources that we offer, email templates, college coach contact information, college needs, all that will be found in Coach. We assist you guys in creating your target list. We'll help you set up mock phone calls, prepare you guys for visits, pretty much any step of the process. If you're not feeling confident or you need help on, please reach out. I don't want you to be sitting here frustrated, or I don't know, I'm feeling stuck. That's what I'm here for. You will never bug me unless you're texting me at like midnight. I'm an early to bed person. But if there's any part of, the recruiting process that you feel like you might be struggling with, please reach out. Let's work through it together. I will be available, to answer any of, the recruiting questions that you guys have along the way. But I don't know what those questions are unless you ask. We do also provide highlight videos. That is an additional fee. And probably, I guess, not like the best salesperson of me, but you can do highlight videos on your own. If you need help and you want me to walk you through that, I'm more than happy to do that. We do provide them for a fee, but if you don't want us to make one, or finances are tricky, let's get together. Let's figure out how to come up with a good video and make sure your athlete's highlighted. So I don't mind walking through how to break down film in that process. We offer advice and we educate you throughout the recruiting journey, basically kind of everything that I've said. Sometimes my job is to be realistic, and that tends to happen a little bit later sometimes in an athlete's journey. So, as athletes get maybe into their senior year and a door hasn't opened, or they're getting a little late in their junior year, sometimes, maybe the schools that we're looking at or that we're targeting may not necessarily be the best fit. And so sometimes I do have to have tough conversations, with athletes. I promise you it comes from a good place. I'm really just trying to make sure, that everybody has an opportunity, to play at the next level. And I can tell you, I've had athletes that, I had one kid on an 18 local team that did not travel, and I had kids last year that went to Power 5, so all different, realms of the spectrum. And for me, it's, there's not one level or one division. It's all just exciting. I mean, these kids are, getting ready to go off into the next phase of their life, and whatever they decide is the right fit for them, I'm pumped about it. So, player and parent expectations. Moms and dads, we want this to be an athlete driven process. The coaches, they want to hear from your daughter. And I know every kid is wired a little different. And I know some people have super outgoing kids that, hey, they might be rock stars on the phone. And some of you may have, a daughter who's maybe a little bit more introverted, and, if we need to help, kind of practice communication, or, whatever part that is, fill me in and let me know. Again, I want to make sure that your daughter is confident going through the process, but, just make sure that you're not, overstepping or taking charge. It is a red flag to coaches. I've had some parents sometimes that have gone on visits, with their kid, and the whole entire visit, the parent is just talking, or, if it's a recruit phone call and mom's on the phone call, mom's, talking the whole time. And, what that shows me is that, the kid's not super excited about my school, mom is. And unfortunately, I'm not recruiting mom. So we just want to make sure that they are able to put their best forward, and it's a learning and growing process. Sometimes you might be sitting there and you might be cringing a little bit, but, I promise they're going to get through it. And, this is the thing, they have to figure it out. You're not going with them off to college. So they've got to learn to speak to adults. They've got to learn to, handle some things on their own. And, they're going to, make some mistakes along the way, and that's okay. We just need to kind of allow them the room and, to grow and to do that and just kind of spread their wings. Parents, make sure that you guys are staying kind of in check at tournaments. Coaches are watching you. And I think especially now, COVID, I would say in my 18 years of coaching, this was probably my most challenging year as a college coach. And just from the perspective of, I think a lot of, my athletes personally were dealing with a lot outside of volleyball. So coaches are really trying to recruit just more of the person, the family, the background, like a lot of those intangibles that, that people are always talking about, that's the first thing that coaches are looking for right now, above and beyond volleyball level. So just make sure that you're on your best behavior, stay off the referees, make sure we're not negative talking, about anyone else's, athlete, make sure you're not coaching your kids from the sidelines. Those are, all red flags. And then, another thing that I like to mention, especially as a club, and this is coming from my club director background, because I've seen this a long time. A lot of comparisons can sometimes happen during the recruiting process, and, try to keep your recruiting conversations, just within your family, myself, your club director, your coach, even if your best friend, is on the team, just don't talk about recruiting. I know for a lot of people, everybody's coming from a good place and everyone has a good heart, but sometimes, the comparison, can just create just unnecessary concerns, or, just kind of like some worry thoughts, and comparison. And I've really seen it tear apart some teams. And so I think, just asking each of you to just, protect your team, protect your kid. I think sometimes, everybody sees on social media the end part of a recruiting journey. They don't see the hard process. They don't see the no's. They don't see the, hours of, cutting film and sending emails to coaches. Folks don't see the nitty gritty that goes on with the recruiting process. So, just keep it in for yourself. Try not to compare, because what you're looking for is different than what your teammate is looking for. Everybody is different. So, it's not a thing to compare when, everybody's, target list is coming from some different factors. So, that's just one thing that I just kind of ask everybody, just, be protective of your team and be really excited when someone commits, be really excited when you guys are all, communicating communicating to the coaches, because that drives interest and that gives, coaches out in front of your athletes. So just make sure that we're all being supportive of one another. And, if your athlete ever gets discouraged or down, or something like that, please call me. I have dealt with this, especially a lot coming through COVID. I think if we have any 22s on here, that poor class has just been through the ringer in recruiting. And it's been really hard. And, you know, I'm more than happy to just kind of sit, you know, work through that. You know, like I said, I want our athletes to be confident. There are opportunities, there are options. And sometimes we just maybe need to, you know, navigate things a little bit different to make sure that our athletes are being successful. Your checklist following this meeting, sit down together as a family. So kind of early, when I started the meeting, you know, and start talking about what college looks like for you. So again, we're talking finances, we're talking, you know, distance, we're talking majors. Step 2, we want to get that target list of schools started. 3, we want to track down some video or get on that highlight video. Step 4, when we've got all those done, then we want to start working on an email. Probably could have moved this up a little bit further, but I've also included all our MRA social media. We do try to highlight athletes throughout the season, and parents. I won't be at every single tournament. You know, we try to, I know Tina was tweaking some of the schedules. So when she gets that to me, I'll put it in my schedule. But if you feel like your athlete is not being, you know, highlighted on social media, send me something. You know, we're not trying to, you know, stick it to any kid or make anyone feel bad. Sometimes it's just, you know, maybe the time that we were at a match and, you know, maybe we didn't get a good play or, you know, whatever it is. You know, the purpose of the social media and highlighting athletes on, you know, the Instagram stories, nobody's going to get a scholarship or a full ride from an Instagram story. You know, really what it is just to promote, you know, the clubs that we have at certain events and just say, hey, we've got really awesome kids that are playing here from this club, go check them out. So, you know, if there's anything that we're ever missing, you know, trust me, I definitely don't ever want to make someone feel unappreciated or not noticed. You know, so if there's, you know, if you're sitting back there and you've, you know, you've got a good, you know, clip of your kiddo, by all means, send it to me. You know, happy to promote anybody and everybody. So last things, make sure that you are set up in Coach. So again, I will email this out to everybody this evening. I do have another Zoom meeting following this one, so it won't be until probably around like 7, somewhere between 7 to 9 o'clock tonight. I'll get an email out to you guys. And then, you know, contact me with your, you know, your questions, your proofing needs, you know, anything that you guys need. When you guys are in Coach, you will be able to set up a meeting with me there. But like I mentioned earlier, I'm also available, you know, via phone, email. So I try to be as accessible as I possibly can for you guys. So, you know, whatever you need, please do not hesitate, you know, to reach out. So with that, I'm kind of done with my, you know, getting started spiel. So I'm going to kind of open the floor up to questions, if anyone has anything. No questions? Quoch. So Quoch that's basically the platform that we are moving from Google Drive. So it's just going to have all our information. It's going to have videos that kind of walk through the process. It's going to have like the target list. It's going to have the coach's contact information. It's going to have the email templates. So we're basically trying to move out of Google Drive and move everything into Coach, which is just like a little bit, I would say more of a professional platform to use than a Google Drive. Did that answer your question, Kevin? The information was emailed to you from info@myrecruitingassistant. So if you didn't get it, check your spam, because sometimes it went in there. And if not, you're going to want to email info@myrecruitingassistant.com and ask them for the information to get you set up on Coach. I will also put that in the email for you guys as well. So you are welcome. Anything else? Trying to figure out how to get everybody off of mute so everybody can can chat. And you're welcome. I'm really excited to work with you guys this year. So, you know, just seeing, are your emails sent to the athlete and the parents? Yes, I do send to both. I try to communicate to the athletes as much as I possibly can, and then follow up with the parents, just so you guys are in the loop. A lot of the action stuff will pertain to the athlete. Parents, if you're getting something from me that kind of has action items, just know that that was sent to the athlete, and I'm just keeping you as in the loop. Anything else? Let's see. Oh, allow athletes. Okay. So everyone should be able, if you want to come in and ask a question. And if not, if we don't have any more questions, it's been a pleasure. I look forward to seeing everybody in tournaments soon this year. I think it's going to be exciting. Things should be a little bit more back to normal officially this year. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas and you know, enjoy some time with your family. So I know everybody's kind of looking forward to some downtime. So I will stick around. You know, if anybody has questions and they want to, you know, jump on the mic, I'll stick around and answer any of those. But with that, you are all free to go enjoy your Sunday. So thank you, Emma. Thank you, Maria. How do you update the contact email? Tina has sent me a roster, but if you want to go ahead and send me if you want to send me in this the email that you want me to use, so that way you're on my email list, I can do that.
Hi, I figured I'd just talk to you instead of trying to text here. So, for some reason, the Quatch has my email instead of Ella's.
Okay.
So do I just email you to get that updated, or?
You'll email info@myrecruitingassistant.
And to get that updated. Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I don't know what we were thinking, but yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay,
and
perfect.
you can, you're always welcome to copy me in on that email, just so I'm can keep an eye on it and just make sure it gets responded to.
Okay, perfect. I will. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? All right. If we don't have any more questions, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to end the session. So I'm looking forward to working with everyone this year. And as I mentioned previously, do not hesitate to reach out. So take care. Enjoy your Sunday.